Okay. I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustee meeting for September 15th, 2014 at 6:01. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Michelle Ginn, absent. Dan Green.
Here.
Mary Himberg.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Julie Meredith. Here.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Public, call to the public.
Hi, last month, it was very quick and easy because we were on a brief hiatus. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side you're on, it was just a very brief hiatus, and we have hit the pavement running. As you know, our fall book sale is the main focus, and the preview will be next Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for members, and anyone can become a member that night by just coming in and paying their yearly dues. So people line up. If you've never seen it,
Yes.
They start lining up nice and early. And we have a lot of other things going on. We want to really promote our book sale, and with the success of what the signage did for the election and the millage, new signs were ordered, and they will be very easy to read. I was very impressed with them. In blue, royal blue, like that color, maybe just slightly deeper, and white, that you can see at a distance, and they will be usable over and over and over, and only have to be replaced in light of a catastrophe. Also, we are in the process of delivering to the various elementary schools flyers again to promote the used book sale that will go into their Friday folders next Friday. And we made it a point last spring, it came up, it became very apparent when Julie was presenting what the library would be doing in terms of programs and such for the next few months, that our membership meetings, and we have 2 general membership meetings, are out of sync with how the library is planning for their future programming and anything else they may need. So it was recommended that at that point, and adopted, that we would change our general meeting times to be more in sync. So we've had to tie up these loose ends because we are not in sync, such as we found out that the programming for the summer for the adult, the teen, and the children's programming still needed a few extra dollars, which then we passed and we gave the library so that they could tie up those loose ends. And we did find it very comforting, not only because the library millage passed, but because now we can take an active role, not just presenting and helping the library be able to just exist and do what they want to do in terms of a regular program for all of the community. We can actually donate physical luxury items or fun to have items. And one of the things that came up, which is kind of well, we have to have it, but this is fun because it's based on the luxury donation of the statue. nobody really thought about the moving cost. And so we agreed to supply the moving cost. But that was fun for us. And then also, we will be helping out and donating funds to the library so that they can set up their booth for the Business Expo in November. So we are busy.
Thank you. Nice report from the Friends. By the way, when is the next Friends General Meeting?
It's, I have it here, October 15th at 7 p.m.
In this very room, I imagine.
Supposedly, we hope that we fill it with membership.
All right. Thank you. That concludes the call to the public for tonight. I will accept a motion to accept the consent agenda if no one wishes to remove any of the 4 items for special comment.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda for tonight. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is accepted. All right, now, we tonight need to have a public hearing to approve the millage rate request. Now, obviously, the millage was approved on August 5th. So this is the legal piece of the work, and Julie, would you like to present that for us?
Certainly. Now that the library has millage in its own name, we must file an L-4029 millage rate request form with the county clerk, equalization department, and the clerks of the city of the village of Clarkston and Independence Township. The library board will provide a public hearing to formally state the millage rate that has been voted upon by the residents of the library district and approve a resolution formally accepting this rate. So what you will need to do is formally open a public hearing, hear from any of the public that may want to comment on the rate. When everyone has made their comments, close it, and then approve the resolution that's in your packet that basically says the millage rate is 1.25, and do a roll call.
All right, so at this moment, at 6:08, the public hearing is open. And we have no comments on the millage rate, which is good because it can't be changed at this point anyway. It's all set. So at 6:09, I will close the public hearing on the millage rate and accept a motion to approve the resolution.
I move to approve the resolution to approve the millage rate request as presented.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote on this. Is there any comment?
We need-
Or
we need a second.
We need a second.
And I'll offer that.
Thank you, Jan.
No problem.
Are there any comments, questions?
Just would like to say that I'm so glad that that's over and that we can now move forward.
Sounds good.
I second that.
All right. Jan Gaffney,
Yes.
Michelle Ginn absent, Dan Green,
Yes.
Mary Himberg,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Kiesling,
Yes.
and Marilyn Pomeroy.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll get that
Now,
filed tomorrow.
are those the 5 signatures?
Yep, that's 5 signatures. Okay, the library director's report is a little long. It's been kind of a busy few weeks, busy month. Under general information, in regards to the bronze sculpture donated to the Friends of the Library for the library grounds by Ron and Elizabeth Wagner that we've discussed the past 2 meetings, the statue was successfully delivered on September 3rd, and thank you to the Friends for paying for that. There was an article in the Clarkston News about this generous donation. We've also notified library users on our listserv, our friends on Facebook, and have featured it on our website. I contacted the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Company. That's the company that insures the library building and grounds. Our current coverage is sufficient to insure the statue against vandalism, theft, and liability at no additional cost. In addition, the statue is housed in an area that is already covered by a security camera and should still be covered by a security camera when it's moved in the spring to its new location. So those were some of the issues that the board was concerned about, and I have taken care of all of those, unless you can think of anything I've missed. You know where to find me if you think of something. Okay, building and grounds. On September 6th, the library experienced a power outage that closed the building for the day. On September 11th, the library experienced another power outage that closed the building only until 11 a.m. So that was a bit of an adventure. The library has a dry fire suppression system, which means the pipes in the ceiling that feed the sprinklers are filled with air kept at a very high pressure. Should a sprinkler head detect heat representative of a fire, the system arms or fills with water, and water will come from only the sprinkler heads that detect extreme heat. On Monday, September 8th, library staff noticed a hissing sound coming from the ceiling near the magazines. Everyone was relieved it was not a snake, although there were jokes made about it being a snake in the ceiling. It was indeed a leak in the fire suppression system, so the system was beginning to depressurize but had not yet armed. The fire department was notified, and TriStar Fire Service, which is the company that maintains that system for us, was called to repair the system. They were able to have it completed by close of business that day. Had they not been able to do that, we would have had to have a person stay in the building all night because it would not have been protected against fire. This is the third time in the past 2 years that we've had to make this sort of repair. So just out of
So there's a message for our
capital improvement
plan.
Yeah, the system is springing leaks on a regular basis, and like I said, that's why it's a dry system. Because if in a library, if we had a fully armed system all the time, water getting it, I don't want to think
that'd be good.
I don't even want to think about that part. The past 2 significant rainstorms, the library has had a water leak in the staff area in 2 separate locations. The cause of one of the leaks was storm damage in the insulating skin of the HVAC ductwork. The other appears to be an issue with an HVAC unit itself. We've contacted Springer Mechanical, who is our regular maintenance company, to make the needed repairs. In addition, I did contact Bloom Roofing, who installed our roof, to come and do an annual inspection to ensure that there are no issues with that before we have winter upon us. So that's a lot harder to fix that stuff in the winter time. So the building has been persnickety. I don't have a better word for it. It's just been testy the last month. Finance, I received an email from Wendy Thomas, the township's finance director, in regards to the library's millage collection. They've had an opportunity to balance the amount of additional collections that they've made since the last wire transfer in April. The township will transfer $31,266.41 later this week. In addition, during the township's audit process, she, meaning Wendy, determined the amount the library owes in tax reimbursements to property owners that went through the Board of Review process in 2013. The board will remember I've been asking the township to bill us for that.
Right.
Because essentially when the taxpayers get reimbursed, the township does that reimbursement, and then we reimburse the township for it, for whatever would account for library millage.
Share.
That only happens until the millage is in the library's own name. So beginning in 2015, we won't be doing this anymore, but until the end of 2014, we still have to figure out how to make sure the township's getting their money back. We had requested that they invoice us for this expense last year, but never received a bill. I think it's because they didn't have a mechanism in place for figuring out how to do that, and they've since figured out how to do that. But this would be the MTT rebates line item in the library budget. That amount for 2013 will be $15,060.02. Because this is an expenditure that should have been reconciled last year, we will need to take the money from fund balance to cover it, because we will still owe money for 2014 by the end of this year. We haven't received a bill for that yet. And we haven't received the 2013 bill yet, but she has at least given us the amount, so we know what we'll need to do. The finance director hopes to provide an invoice for 2014 prior to the end of the year as well. So we should be able to get this all reconciled. Next item, on Wednesday, September 17th, the library board treasurer and I will have a meeting with the township finance director and the township clerk in order to discuss the reconciliation of the OPEB money, which is the fund of retiree health care money in the library's name that is currently held by the township. Carrie Vaughn, the municipal audit manager for the state's treasury office, has requested a corrective action plan, known as a CAP, by September 30th from both the township and the library to ensure that this is taken care of before we begin the 2014 audit process. Should this issue remain unresolved at the end of 2014, he has requested to be notified in order to work with both entities to ensure that it gets taken care of. So he's basically said, get it done or I'm in on it too. So the township doesn't want that in either. So we are going to work assertively to get that done by the end of the year. On September 1st, the first step of Michigan's Workforce Opportunity Wage Act, Public Act 138 of 2014, took effect. The changes to minimum wage are as follows. Before September 1st of 2014, the minimum wage was $7.40 per hour. On September 1st, 2014, it went to $8.15. January 1st of 2016, it will go to $8.50. January 1st of 2017, it will go to $8.90. January 1st of 2018, it will go to $9.25. This first change in wages affected 7 members of our staff of 40, including 5 shelvers and our 2 newest circulation clerks. There used to be a wage difference between these 2 job titles, which has now been eliminated. In addition, there have been no pay increases for any library employees since 2008. As the steps of this act continue to take effect, the salary scale will become further compacted. So I wanted to make you aware of that as this unfolds.
Julie, can I ask a question about that?
Certainly.
Well, the new funds that we'll get from the new millage, is that going to help out this wage thing?
We don't have a plan to make any changes to wages at this time other than what has been state mandated. But yes, we will have to make some sort of a budget amendment before the end of the year because this is an increase that was not entirely anticipated. So we'll have to have that fixed by the end of the year.
So we'll have to make that adjustment.
Mhm.
Is this an area that might be discussed in our budget workshops?
That's probably a good idea.
Good. Yeah, good plan.
Collaborations and projects. The Friends of the Library sponsored a booth to sell caramel apples at Art in the Village on September 13th and 14th. This is a fun event that makes the Friends and the library more visible in the community. Despite a bit of rain on Saturday morning, we were able to talk to lots of community members throughout the weekend. We always enjoy doing that event. It's a lot of fun. Item number 2, it has been suggested by a number of community members that the library have an open house to present our expanded services and gather feedback about additional community expectations regarding library service. The staff would like to work on fulfilling this suggestion in January. We feel that is a time of year when people are looking for something fun to do after the holidays are over, and having it on one of the first Sundays we open after restoring library's hours would be an exciting way to do a launch. Meetings to plan this event will start soon. In addition, the staff has formed a committee to work on our annual volunteer recognition luncheon. This event usually takes place in February. We've been extremely fortunate, especially this year, to have so much support and enthusiastic assistance that we're looking forward to honoring our volunteers with an extra special celebration. So the staff has 2 fun things to plan coming up. And then I did make a note at the end of my report that the Friends of the Library will hold their annual fall book sale from Wednesday, September 24th through Saturday, September 27th, but Marion did such a good job of filling you in on all the details, so I will just remind everyone, the 24th through the 27th, don't miss it.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Julie?
No, it was a busy month.
It's been busy, yes.
I have one question about the bill from 2013. Do you think that will be presented at the October?
Well, here's the thing.
How do we do this?
There is, we budget MTT rebate money of about $16,000. So there's money in that line item to pay it.
All right, good.
And then the bill for 2014 will come later in the year. So my thinking is we would do a budget adjustment
At that
probably
time.
in November or December. We'll do all of the budget adjustments. Last year, because we had some issues getting the information we needed from the township, we did our budget adjustments late, and the auditor didn't like that. But this
Then
year,
we'll have a better idea of an exact amount.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
And
Julie,
Wendy,
this is something we can expect every year to have to.
well,
do.
no, just through 2014. The way it will work now, previously our millage was held by the township.
Right.
And so the public hearing that we just had, the township board used to hold it. And so the township would collect the millage funding and they would give it to us to utilize. And then when they would do tax rebates, the township would return those tax rebates.
Right.
Well, technically what happens is the county returns those tax rebates. They bill the township and the township reimburses the county. And when we were a township department, they would take that money from our budget.
Right.
Well, they don't have access to our budget anymore. So now they have to bill us. But now that our millage is completely separate, we file with the county. So the township
County
continues.
will bill us.
The county will bill us in 2015, yes. And the county does have a mechanism for doing that because they do that for all municipalities. And we had been trying to figure out, what do we need to do in order to get the county to bill us? And then we realized that all we needed to do was have the millage in our own name, and that happened
So
automatically.
we'll always need to have that in the budget.
Yep, yep. And there's no way to really predict, other than talking to the assessor, to see about how many people she has that will file to be part of Board of Review. But the last several years for the library, it has ranged in the $12,000 to $15,000 range, so we've been budgeting $16,000 the past 3 years.
So that's worked for that. Now, the 31,000 that they are transferring over, have they transferred that already?
No, they said they would do it early this week, and they had not done it yet today, but I'm sure that they will be doing it later in the week. But that was money that was collected that they had to reconcile. Taxes are due by February
14th.
15th, 14th,
14th
something
or
like that.
15th.
And so they turned over everything that they had that was library money in March and April, and then money trickles in. And so normally what they would do is they would keep track of that and send it over on a regular basis, but that's another thing that they didn't really have a mechanism for, and so it hasn't been a real efficient system trying to figure it out. But Wendy is working with the treasurer of the township to kind of figure out how they're going to do that on a regular basis. I've already talked to the city, and the city treasurer basically told me, "Oh no, the money comes in and we're turning it over to you every 2 weeks." That's how I roll here. Is basically what she told me. So I'm assuming that the township is going to try and come up with a similar method. They have one in place for the school, so hopefully they'll be able to come up with one for us as well. So they'll be turning it over regularly.
Good. That would be very useful, very helpful.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move to regular business. Number 1, since Kay Robertson has resigned, we need to review a candidate for city council appointment to the library board. So let us discuss this.
For personal reasons, Kay Robertson, a representative of the city of the Village of Clarkston, has stepped down from her position on the library board. As agreed upon with the city manager of the city of the Village of Clarkston, the position was posted from August 19th through September 10th. Submissions from interested city residents were sent to the library director. City Council would like the library board to review the candidates and make a recommendation for their September 22nd meeting, at which they will appoint someone to fill the position. We received one submission, and in your packet is the letter of interest from Sarah J., also known as Sally Lamb.
Okay. And that letter is on the back of that page. Did anyone have any questions about?
No, other than that, she certainly looks like I don't know her, but her qualifications look good. I mean, I probably would know her if I saw her. That's
She's been active in the Friends of the Library for many years. She just lives around the corner. She's in the library quite frequently, so the library staff all knows her quite well because she's a very regular patron.
So she's been a resident of the city for over 50 years, so she is very knowledgeable about.
And she's a retired teacher.
And actually, she was a member of the original group that set up the library.
Yeah, she has a
the
long
Women's
history
Club.
with
In the
us.
Women's Club. So she's followed the history all the way. All right. Are there any other questions, comments? Is someone willing to?
I would move that we recommend Sarah Lamb for appointment to the library board by the council of the city of the Village of Clarkston.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that Sally Lamb, Sarah, be appointed to the library board by the council of the city of the Village of Clarkston. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, and we thank her for her interest. Next item.
I'm requesting permission to post a head of technical services position. Keegan Selecki, the library's current head of technical services, has accepted a position at the Chelsea District Library. We are very sad to see Keegan go, but we're excited for her because this is a really great opportunity. Unfortunately, we can't leave a full-time position vacant for very long, so so I'm asking for permission to post the position. The proposed posting is included in the board packet.
I move that we approve the posting for head of technical services as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we that we approve the posting for head of technical services. Are there any questions about any of the duties, responsibilities, qualifications? It's a very long list.
It's a busy job.
It is a busy job. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, then those in favor of posting this position, please say
Quick
yes.
question.
Yes,
Actually.
that's fine.
MLIS preferred, it's not required?
We've had both.
Okay.
We've had both kinds of people. Most of what we do is copy cataloging.
Okay.
However, there is some original cataloging.
Okay.
So when we were hiring catalogers, we did have a couple of candidates who applied to be catalogers who might be really good candidates to be head of technical services, who had good leadership skills as well.
Sounds good.
So we
Great.
wanted to be open to either. We would really prefer
Sure.
a master's degree, but we thought we'd better leave ourselves a little bit of leeway.
Sure,
Mhm.
sounds good. Sounds good.
Especially since we'll have more items to catalog.
Yes.
That's the goal.
It's going to be a busy department. It is.
So it will be a busy department. When is the date for this?
We haven't put the dates out there yet. I wanted to wait and see what Keegan's timing was as far as when she was going to come and go and see how she felt about it. I wanted to talk to her about some of the kinds of things that she would recommend and whatever, but I'll get the timeline set out there, and I think maybe you were interested in being on the selection
Yes.
committee again. Okay. And I think I've got a couple staff who would be willing to be, or interested and willing to be on there as well, so.
Okay. All right.
I'll get with you about the timeline though.
Okay, fine. All those in favor of approving the posting of this position, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Motion is carried. Next, work.
The budget workshop schedule. The library's 2015 budget will need to be approved before December 31st, 2014. In order to construct the budget, the library board usually holds one or more budget workshops to review the budget prior to the public hearing and resolution to approve the budget. The library board will need to set some special meeting dates because we do have to post those. They're public meetings. So I have my calendar in front of me about meeting room. We usually do that in a smaller meeting room. We tend to do them more conference style in a square, kind of roll up your sleeves and get to work. I'm sure there'll be discussions about the capital improvement plan and what to do about the changes in terms of, changes with the minimum wages increasing and things like that, so.
Okay, so we have two questions. Dates, times.
And I don't have my calendar, so I'm going to try to, I can recreate most of it from a couple of emails, so I'm like,
Well, I think you've done sort of late afternoon in the past.
Can't be here before 4:30.
That's why I said late afternoon. I think we were doing like 4:30 or 5.
Yeah.
And I think for our committee, we sort of try to stay on Mondays because that's kind of our
Okay.
our thing, and it makes it easier to remember.
yeah, and that makes it really easy for me because that is the night that's normally empty on my calendar except for library board meetings, so.
And we tended to do ours earlier.
4:30 is fine.
4:30.
I can make
Yeah.
4:30.
How's that sound, Dan? Mondays?
Monday sound okay?
Yeah, 4:30?
At 4:30?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. The Monday I have open at 4:30, depending on how long the meeting runs, because we usually do this in the little room. In the little room, it looks like we could do October 6th. We could do October 13th. You already have a meeting on the 20th.
What about,
Let me just
how many do you think we should do? 2?
I think you usually do 2, and you might want to do 1 in October, 1 in November, because at the first meeting, you'll probably give me some assignments of things that you want to see me produce.
So before the October board meeting,
Just one
we should
meeting.
probably do 1.
Okay, that sounds like a good
So
And
plan.
then maybe in November.
How's the 6th look for you?
I'm still loading. I can't remember, I think I have mediation that day, but it might be in the morning, but that might be the only day that the mediation is in the afternoon, so. Let me,
So when it comes
What's
up,
the next Monday date?
the 13th.
13th.
It doesn't give you a lot of time if you're going to be looking for things. Is that what
Right.
you're thinking? So you'd rather
Right.
do the
No, I
6th.
was thinking between whatever you do in October and November.
Oh, sure.
I'll have to produce things. I have a feeling the first meeting in October, you'll probably give me some assignments, and you'll say, I want to see more specifics about I'll give you the capital improvement plan filled in as we talked about, and you'll look at it, and you'll have some, you may say you want to see more of this or more of that. You may want to see, salary schedules. You may want to see, in terms of operating supplies, what our predictions are in terms of how much the security is going to cost and things like that for securing the DVDs and that sort of thing. So,
Sure.
So I'm free on both the 6th and the
I
13th.
think I am too.
I'm almost to the email.
So when she's voting, so now would we be talking about, while she's looking, we'd be talking about one in October and one, we're almost in the same situation in November.
Okay, I have a meeting, both of those mornings I have a meeting, but the afternoons of both the 6th and the 13th are clear.
Why don't we shoot for the 6th in case anything interferes with that?
oh, okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, good idea.
So a library workshop, October 6th at 4:30.
And then maybe at that meeting, we could set the next one?
I'll bring my calendar. Normally it's in my
That's
purse.
fine.
I took it out today because
That's perfectly fine.
Changing things around. So we have,
November's calendar is a little less tight.
in November, we have 2 Monday meetings before our meeting. So our meeting is going to be the 17th of November.
I see we have the 3rd and the 10th open.
So we have the 3rd and the 10th open. My personal feeling is that the sooner we can work this out, the happier I will feel, the happier the auditors will feel.
Yeah.
So it depends on
Well,
some
and then and
other data.
if you run into issues, it's better if you started early and
Yep.
then you can add an extra meeting in later
Right.
if you need to.
If we need to.
Well, we weren't quite ready to talk about it yet because we didn't have all the healthcare numbers. Now, the attorney did suggest, so what we did tonight was a public hearing on the millage rate, and then we'll do another public hearing for the library's budget, and then an approval. Some libraries do the public hearing on the millage rate and approval of the budget all in the same night, which is perfectly acceptable. But when you do your millage rate approval, it has to be done by September 30th. And then your budget has to be done by December 30th. So we could, theoretically, what the attorney was sort of pushing us to do, only because she usually creates these as one package deal, these public hearing notices, is to start planning the 2016 budget earlier so that we would do all of this at the September meeting, and then you'd be done with the budget before the end of the year. The problem is the healthcare numbers don't come in until late in September. I still haven't actually seen them this year. So that part has me a little bit worried. So I have to do a little bit of finagling, but I'm just going to forewarn you now that the attorney's recommendation is that we start budgeting earlier, and
So
obviously we had
in
a
2015, we should think about this.
Yeah, we may want to set it a little bit earlier and work on it a little bit earlier. But for now, I have library board budget workshop set for October 6th at 4:30. That would be in the youth activities room.
Okay.
It's our littler room.
And then maybe the 3rd of November.
And then I'm going to put tentative the 3rd of November.
Okay, good. And then
Right.
there's election day. and
Yep.
Just go vote. Relax.
Okay, so we are going to need a motion for this.
I move to schedule, is that your name? I move to schedule a budget workshop on October 6th at 4:30.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so our first budget meeting will be October 6th at 4:30 in the youth activities room.
And I'll get that posted right away.
Okay, and at that time, we'll finalize a second meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
All right, moving on. Statistics, always good to have data.
Yes.
So this is a big spreadsheet. It's the back of your packet, and it actually was so big that it had to be posted separately as part of the packet. The library's head of circulation IT manager has been working on a project to review the data that is currently being collected regarding library use. The compilation is in the board packet. Some data is being collected for library's annual state aid report, while other types of data are of interest to the library staff. He's also interested in what statistical information the library board would like to see summarized each month as part of the library board meeting, and he's going to collect and put that in the library board packet every month, which I thought was really neat.
Great. That's
I think
great.
that's wonderful.
I really,
So this
yes,
is-
I really like it.
This is all of it. You don't want to see all of it. I know you don't want to see all of it. But I'm going to go over what you're looking at, and you can mull it over. You don't have to make decisions tonight. Maybe give us some direction, and we'll talk about how we're going to present it. So if you look at the big portion, it was too big to fit it on the screen. It says traffic counts. Essentially what a traffic count is that we have a people counter on the library's front door. And what it does is it counts every time the laser is broken. So all the people that come in and all the people that go out. And what Bill does is he takes those numbers and he divides them by 2, so that we're only counting everybody once. And he divides it up on an hourly basis. And that's helpful for the staff to know on an hourly basis
Sure.
when we're busy and when we're not. It helps us to track for determining how much staffing to have at the service desks at various
Right.
times of day. This is way more data than you probably want. So he has also put at the bottom, he has like totals per time and hourly averages and daily averages. If you go to your right in the columns, there is a day total. Beyond that, there is a circulations per day, which is a completely separate set of data that he captures from our integrated library system, Polaris. He has a download count, which would be the number of people that are using our downloadables, our Overdrive, our
Okay.
downloadable books and audiobooks, and how and daily counts on that. He was interested that there is quite a lot of downloadable taking place on Sundays when we're not open, which is very nice. It means we are still providing library service 7 days a week, even though we're not here. He's created something called circulation conversions. I think that was mostly for his own personal interest. But basically what he's calculating out is he's taking circulations and the number of people, and he's dividing it out so that he's getting sort of a per visitor circulation count.
Okay.
So, for example, on Friday, August 1st, there were 679 circulations, which means that we checked out almost 2 items per person for everyone who walked in the door. And the numbers vary depending on Saturday, we checked out 2.5 items per person. Now, that's his personal, I think, interest, and the spreadsheet does all the calculations for him, so.
I'm interested in how he's calculating information questions.
Information questions is actually done by Lawrence. At the reference desk, there is a sheet for the week, and the librarians, every time they answer a question, make a tally mark. They also make tally marks for when they make referrals to other libraries or other organizations.
Or on the phone.
Or, yep, this includes all phone questions that they take. And it used to be done just on a daily count, and now he has it as an hourly count. So that's how they're keeping track of that. So there may be a little bit of human error in there because they're making little tally marks. If you get really busy, sometimes you forget to make a little mark.
But we know it's at least that many.
But we know it's at least this many.
It may be more, but, okay.
Yep. Computer users. This one, I believe what he's doing is taking the software that allows people to log into our computers, tracks the number of people that use the computers. Then we also have early literacy computers that were provided to the library by the Friends. Those do not have a login system attached to them. So those are done by little time cards that the kids come up to the desk and they get. And when they return the time cards, the librarians make a count on the reference question tally sheet. So this number should include the number of users, both the children's and the standard internet computers. Computer average per session, now that wouldn't take into account the children's computers, but because we have an automated login system, this data just comes naturally, and so he plugged it all into the
Good.
spreadsheet.
Because that will help us when we make decisions about computers to purchase.
Right. This is
Staffing
great
for
information.
hours.
So too,
I'm
really
really
like it.
excited.
Please
about-
thank Bill, tell him.
It took him a long
board
time to kind of get, because we have
Yeah.
several different staff members in the library collecting different pieces, and he created a big spreadsheet, and he said, okay, everybody get the data to me, and I will load it into this spreadsheet. And then he wanted you to take a look at this and say, now what do you want to know on a monthly basis in your board packet? Because there's an awful lot here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that, that we need to know the hourly counts necessarily. That's great for the staff.
But that's what he wanted you to see, just the
I know.
the magnitude of what's being
I think
collected.
it's great, it's done a wonderful
I
job.
do too, I
Yep.
think so too, I love it.
Because when we're making decisions about staffing, absolutely.
Or usage of space when you start getting into study room use, and, you know, all of that's really defining
Useful.
what we want to do going forward with our capital improvement.
Absolutely.
This is great information.
Yep. And then in terms of wireless users, that's another thing that's automated, that the system will automatically tell us the days that people are using the wireless and how much on an hourly basis. And then the last one is study room uses, and that's another time card system that's similar to the children's computers, in which we hand out a little card, and when the cards come back to the circulation desk has a little calendar, and they keep a tally, and so that's actually a manual count.
How many study rooms do we have?
We just have 2.
The ones right
Mhm.
over there.
Yep, yep. Great. And then I think the things that you'll be more interested in at the bottom, he's calculated out some day of the week totals.
That's what that means. I couldn't figure it out.
Yep, it's day of the week.
And not the
That's why we're
Dow
having this
Jones.
conversation. Yeah. So he has, for traffic and computer and information, meaning information questions, the circulation conversion, circulation statistics, wireless, downloads, and study room. So basically everything you're seeing at the top, he's then averaging it out. And you'll see for Mondays, there are 4 days, you know, if we're looking at the day of the week, average summary for traffic, Monday, there are 4 Mondays in the month. The total day of the week was 2,347. When you divide by 4, day of the week, we averaged 587 people on a Monday in August. So, and August actually isn't one of our busier months, but.
What happened on September, August 5th?
Election day.
It was election day, yeah. Yep.
We were precincts, so we
Okay.
voted.
Yeah, and it is interesting because every once in a while we'll have something that'll happen that's, for example, we're not usually open on Friday evening, but we do have after-hours programs for the teens, and every once in a while you'll look at the calculations and you'll think, now why were there people coming and going at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday? Oh, yeah, it was a teen night, so, yeah, so you'll see
Do you
some
have any
things like that.
idea in your head about what Sundays used to look like?
I have the data from the Sundays before we closed, yeah, I do. I kept all of that data, so. It was a busy day. It's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
The kind of usage that we get on Sundays, people came in and they tended to stay longer. Now that's sort of anecdotal information, but we do know that the traffic patterns on Sunday were pretty high. Part of it was because we were the only library open on Sundays. There are a lot of libraries that are closed on
And we
Sundays
may
in the
be
area,
again.
and we may be again. I don't know what Orion will decide to do in terms of their Sundays, but I think that I think it's time for us to reopen on Sundays.
Well, people have asked
Absolutely.
for that. That was one of the things.
I was
during
one of
the
them,
millage.
right?
It broke my
I
heart when we had to
loved
close
coming
on
on
Sundays. That was one of the toughest decisions I've ever had to
Especially in the
make.
winter, a winter
Yeah.
Sunday.
Saturdays, the people that come in tend to be in a hurry because they're doing a lot of errands in the day, and the library happens to be one of many. And so they tend to buzz in and do what they need and buzz out. The Sunday people tend to come in, it's a family time. A lot of times they will come in, families with children, they'll stay for longer. It's interesting because there's sort of a rush of people that come in, and then you'll see that the numbers are really high kind of at the end of the day as people are leaving, but there's a big chunk of time in the middle where there's not as much traffic, and it's because people are staying. They're coming in and they're staying.
Coming in at 1 and staying till 5.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll come in and stay for a few
Couple
hours.
hours.
Yep. So we're looking forward to seeing that again when we expand the hours. Obviously, you're probably not necessarily going to want day of the week numbers. You're probably going to want monthly numbers.
I think we want patterns.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think,
yeah.
and I think maybe to start with,
To have
obviously I
this
don't
for
want
a while.
the whole big thing at the top, but these little, at the bottom, these little ones at the bottom, maybe.
That's very useful.
To kind of see those for a period of
Yeah,
time.
for a period of time, and then maybe we'll discover, well, we really only need to see the totals of this and this and this. But
So one page of the day of the week,
average.
day of the week numbers.
Yeah.
And then maybe if he sees some anomalies that he wants to point out, for example, he might look at it and say, wow, the numbers were really high at this particular day because that was election day. So maybe he can pull out some of those things and maybe do a little report that says these are the main numbers and
Yeah.
Would that be helpful?
Right.
Yes, it would be.
And
because-
since he's collecting this and inputting it, I like his observations.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think that if Bill's willing to give us his observations on what patterns he sees developing.
Even just a few sentences, you
Yeah,
know, a couple of
okay.
sentences to summarize what we're looking at. To me, it's just really, it's a really wonderful planning tool.
I think so too.
Right.
So maybe what we want to do, because you'll not want to hear necessarily just from Bill, maybe you'll want any anomalies that Lawrence might notice in
Yes.
terms of the
Yes.
reference questions. You know, we
Yeah.
were really, really busy on this particular day, or we had a lot of,
Yeah.
And
I'll
for
ask
some reason,
them
this
to.
must have happened because everybody was asking about, just interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the more data-driven we are, the better the decisions we'll make in
Right.
terms
So
of
as
our
well.
funding.
Because we want to provide the library that people want to use.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely. I just didn't want to throw a lot of numbers at you and have you say, wow, this is overwhelming, which is what I've done tonight.
No, but it's good to see what he's working from.
Yes.
You know, but I really don't need to know that at 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, this many people, that part is not, I don't need that to plan. I need to know that on Tuesdays, maybe a lot of people came in, but I don't need to know what time it is.
But it might be helpful in the back of your mind to know we have this kind of data.
Right,
Yes, it is.
Because
This
if
is-
something happens and we go, well,
This
what
is
if
the-
we had to do
It
this?
is. I think it's great.
This is the kind of data that's been helpful in terms of deciding, okay, so do we close on the Thursday of Thanksgiving weekend? And, we were really busy on that day last year, maybe we want to be there for our patrons. Those are the kinds of things we've used that data for in the past, is to see what the traffic patterns are. For example, we know on Halloween night, now this year Halloween is on a Friday, so it's not that big of a deal, and next year it will be on a Saturday, but a couple of years from now, when it's on a Monday night,
Yeah.
kids will go trick-or-treating, they're not coming to the library, and it's almost not even worth being here because we might have 3 people all evening. Why would we pay to staff the building if nobody's going to come in? So those are the kinds of things that might be worth considering,
Yep.
just out of practicality.
Yep.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Great.
And thank Bill.
yeah, I have my assignment for him. Very good, thank you.
Okay, the next item is fun, the fun item.
Okay. Initial review of potential library logo designer. Since the library formally reestablished and has a new name, it is time to make decisions about how to brand the organization, including but not limited to library card design, letterhead, signage, etc. Since the Waterford Township Library was also working on a similar project, we shared the expertise of a local marketing consultant to find logo designers. 4 designers were reviewed, but only 1 had experience working on library logos. She was asked to present some possible designs to see if her style fits with the needs of our library. Some things to think about before I hand out the actual designs. When designing a logo, it is important to start with black and white, as a logo may need to appear this way. Logos that are designed in color often do not translate properly to grayscale. Adding color is a later step in the process. In addition, the design needs to be flexible, so it can be presented to fit in a variety of spaces, such as vertical, horizontal, or square. The logo needs to represent the organization's mission while being distinct, bold, recognizable, and easy to understand. The designs being presented are for the board's initial impressions. They are not included in the packet but will be distributed at the meeting. If the board determines that this designer is on the right track, we will proceed with logo design process with this designer. So, I have a little pile of logos for you.
And let me just make the comment that when you look at the library's mission statement, it's kind of hard sometimes to get something concrete out of,
Yes, I know.
out of the kinds of terms that if we're going to be the cornerstone of learning, and we're going to have, education and that kind of thing in our area of interest, it's somewhat difficult to make a visual representation of that.
And remember, the library's mission statement is the community's cornerstone of lifelong learning through innovation, education, and enrichment. Hope that's at all helpful. Nobody probably recites it as frequently as I do.
There you go.
Probably not.
But we're still impressed. We're very impressed. These are really cool looking.
I think
I know, I looked at the first page and I went, oh, I like these.
And then I thought, I like that one. Oh, I like that one.
Yeah,
It's
and I
All we
interesting.
need to do is think if she's On the right.
if she's on the right track, if
Yeah.
you like her work.
I would say yes so far.
Oh,
Okay.
I would say yes too. I think that out of these ideas,
The main question tonight is, do you see something here that, the thing is, we need to love it. Now, the woman who was doing these designs is on a library board. She's a big library user. And the marketing person said that the other three designers didn't really seem to get libraries, is sort of what she said. So she was not inclined to show us any of the work of the other designers. She really just brought us this designer first and said, if this woman is on the right track, this is probably the direction you should go. Waterford went through this process prior to us, and they nixed everything else the other designers did. So they didn't even like anything, so.
So we were thinking that,
Yeah.
since they've kind of done the preliminary. Sure.
Their security gate. Not a fire.
that's good, just, you know.
Yep.
So we were thinking of that which represents the
Yeah.
totality of the type of experience you can have here.
Right.
Okay, so now that you've had a little bit of time to sort of browse through them, there are a few little things that I would point out to you. They are numbered in the lower right-hand corner.
Right.
So if you look at design number one of the things that she would have you notice is that there's a book. There's a little E standing for e-readers and different kinds of E types of materials. There's an @ symbol within the leaves of the tree. And there's a little thing that sort of looks like a leaf with a dot in the middle.
Yeah.
That's a pin if you're not familiar with that. If you do anything on, say, Google Maps, that's the pin that shows you where something is.
yeah.
Or if you're looking at the nightly news and they say, send us your pictures of the weather that you took, and they show that little logo
Yeah.
Those
on
are
the
the pin.
screen.
That's a pin.
Yeah,
So it's an
okay.
electronic
I
symbol.
noticed it and didn't.
I couldn't figure it out either.
Young people will recognize it right away. Tech-savvy people will recognize it right away. If you're a little less tech-savvy,
I should
you
know
might
about it
recognize
because
it
I-
as something that you've seen before, but
Yeah.
I couldn't place it until she said it's a pin. I was like, oh, yeah, of course it's a pin, so. Okay, so the other thing she wanted you to notice about this is that the trunk of the tree are two joyful people, if you look closely,
Oh, yay.
which I thought was kind of a cute
Yeah.
addition to that one. But she wanted you to notice that.
The trunk of the tree are two
I don't
joyful
get that
people?
one.
I see one
They
joyful.
have their arms raised.
I see one.
One.
No, there's two.
There's two
Oh,
heads.
I get it.
They're kind of side to side. They're sharing an arm. Their arms are really
Oh,
close
they're
together.
sharing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Got it, okay. On the next page, 1A, we had a conversation about the boldness of it, so she did it as a reverse image. So that's the only thing that's really different about this one, and she did change the logo, or the font a little bit, the typeface.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, she has the big book, and the joyful people are back again as a tree. The little pins are in there, and then the sunshine is to represent sort of the growth of the library going forward. So that's why she put that
I
in.
love that one.
So that was another way of
Yeah,
looking
I mean,
at it.
actually, I can be like happy with almost all of these.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Number 3, the statue was delivered while she was in the process of thinking through the logo designs, and so the marketing person that was helping us sent her a picture of the statue, and so she brought in the tree and the swing in this design, and so that's why there is
Which I
that in
kind of
there.
like too, but, you know, to focus on that statue, which I think is, you know, maybe to pull that in, make that a representation of what
I
we
think
do here.
I think that was her idea, and
Yeah, I
really,
like
there's
it.
not much difference between 3 and 4, except whether it's circle
Yeah, 4 is
or
done as a
block.
square.
I like the square better. I don't know why that is.
Well, part of the reason that and you'll see more squares coming up, she's
Because of
integrating
our
squares
design.
because of the architectural design of the building.
Oh.
All of our windows have little squares, our entryway is all little square panes.
Oh.
The stained glass in our alcove is all
Yes,
square.
yes.
The designer, when we were doing our space planning the last time, when she redesigned her circulation desk, she put little squares on the front of it to tie it all together so it looked like it would fit, even though it was a new piece.
Hadn't thought of that, had we?
Yeah, so there's a lot of architectural
That's why they're
squares.
designers and we're not.
Yes, yes.
I also like the quaintness of this, the sweetness of
Mhm.
it. The other ones I like too, but they're an awful lot of they're trying, there's an awful lot of explanation in that. There's something to be said, to me, for simplicity.
Yeah.
Number 5, you'll see the square panes. She drew that in a more significant way. And she did put in the book and the pin, the sun for growth. And the magnifying glass is also the exact same icon that you'll see on any of the search screens. Like Google, if you look at the end, the button is a little magnifying glass. So while magnifying glass means search and closer focus to everyone, techies will see something familiar that they see on their smartphones and their devices. So
It can also mean explore.
explore.
Things,
Mhm. Yep. And then we had kind of mentioned to her that the sunshine may feel a little bit obtuse to some people. They might be confused by that. And so she came back with 5A, which is the same logo design, except she has the little talking bubble, the little thought bubble, as a different way of, it's for communication and things like that. So she did a sort of a variation on that theme.
Could be that, could do the at sign.
The interesting thing that was brought up about this particular logo is that it is impactful and it is fairly simplistic, but that over the course of time, the images within the squares could be changed to fit whatever new images might be technologically savvy, or anything else that we might want to. So that was one of the things she liked this one because it was flexible.
My concern in looking at some of these was that Clarkston and Independence should be similar in size.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last one, number 6, the center is the magnifying glass and the leaves, and then there are books and the pins up at the top.
For me, this is my least favorite. It looks like a turkey.
Yeah, that's my least favorite too. I got what she's doing with it, but it's not.
So we have a turkey and a sunflower, so
Yeah.
obviously it's open to interpretation,
I thought it
right?
looked like a flower, yeah.
Well, I thought flower until she said turkey. Now all I can see is
Not all I can see is
turkey.
turkey. Yeah, I do like that interpretation of the turkey, but a turkey is a regal bird.
Yes, it is.
So the question is, do we feel that this designer is on the right track?
Yes.
And that we're looking at something that would represent the library, be unique to our situation? A lot of trees and wooded area and so
but
forth.
I think that with the gift of that statue, I think that that's kind of a really cool thing to bring into it.
The tree.
The tree. I mean, whether you use the tree with the swing or
Or the tree with the
tree. I mean, because
symbols.
a tree in and of itself symbolizes growth and knowledge.
That's right.
And,
And it's not like we're not surrounded by trees right here.
And you
They
don't have
keep
to
falling on our
interpret
power lines.
Sometimes they're more charming.
So I think I think that we might want to, discuss and tweak some of these, but I do think that we.
Is there anything in here that you want to take out? Let's start with that. Is there anything in
The
here that?
turkey can go.
Apparently number 6. Thank you. All right. I'm going to put next for number 6.
Were you loving the turkey?
Oh, sort of.
We really love it. Oh, dear. Okay.
No, I didn't dislike it.
But we're not being asked to make a decision.
Oh, no.
No.
Now the designer's
I'm
asking
gonna
for.
have to take these home and
Yes.
look at.
Okay, well, the
Okay.
designer is asking
Show
for
them
some
some.
feedback, and you may feel free to email me your feedback.
Sure. So when we take them home, when you look at them initially, see what your initial feeling is,
I
then you
think
lay
she's
them
on
out,
right
you look
track.
at them
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happy with her.
Okay. That was mostly what we wanted to
Yeah.
Right, and I think
gather
that
from
in some
tonight.
cases, I might like one logo and one of the other typefaces, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that can be easily.
And that can be.
And it looks like the
That's the
first
easiest
one.
thing to do.
Right.
That would be able to be changed too. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh,
the-
absolutely.
The
The idea-
at sign could be something else.
And
we
the
talked
different
about that as well,
sizes
yep.
are to make sure that this would look all right on smaller.
Right on your
Yes.
letterhead and on
Yeah.
your sign
Yes.
or whatever, yeah.
We told her that we wanted library, now a couple of them, she does show like Clarkston Independence bold, and then District Library is lighter, and I was inclined to tell her it should all be the same weight, because I think library is just as important as Clarkston and Independence.
Yes.
That's just the library director's opinion.
Second.
And my feeling was that because these two communities have come together,
Equally.
I don't want to see one bolder than the other, even though there is a difference in number of
It's a difference in
letters.
length.
Right,
That-
right.
That there's a
But
slight
I think that it still is
inclination.
the same weight if the letters, if individual letters are the same boldness.
What has happened in some of the designs, and we told her from the very beginning they needed to be the same size, but in the initial conversation, but the tendency is to make Clarkston bigger so that it's the same length as Independence Township, so the name comes out as a perfect little square.
Yeah, and
And that doesn't, that's not
adding
even
adding the dash helps that a little bit.
except the dash isn't part of our legal name, that was an accident.
You're right.
So you don't get to add the dash. Not without going through a whole lot
But for
of
example,
paperwork
if
with the
you look
state.
at 3, I'm thinking that Independence Township people might not be real pleased
No,
with that.
right. Or 1A is the same thing. I like that typeface, but I don't like the.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
So
I mean,
better
it's
the
just- Clarkston's
even.
just a shorter
Yeah,
word.
2 is good. 2 is nice and even.
And, yes, 2 is nice and even. 1
Yes.
is even, you get rid of the dash. So
Okay.
those are all things to
Right,
look
we
at.
need
And
Okay.
I think the other thing is to look at is how interpretive, if a normal person looks at this, what are they going to see? Maybe a turkey is not what we had in mind.
And sadly, probably most people will need those happy people pointed out to them. Well, I like the happy people.
That's for people that are interested in looking closer, I think, because we didn't notice it either. If that makes you feel any better, they would be
Okay.
pointed out to us as well. So, no, you did not miss anything by not catching that. So what I'm hearing is we want to make sure that the names are the same size. Okay.
I really like the emphasis on all types of learning.
Yes.
We
That's why
want
I
all
like
learning.
the universal library symbol, like the universal hospital symbol. I like that if I'm going down the road and I see
Yeah.
the universal symbol. But I don't want to limit us to being regarded as only book people,
Right.
Right.
since we're beyond that and have been, but that's not a common perception.
Okay. Okay. As you think of things, you know where to find me. Feel free to email. I'm going to let her know that we don't want number 6, that we want to focus on all types of learning, and that we want to make sure that the names are indeed the same size and that there is no hyphen. Did I miss anything? Any other
No,
comments?
that's great.
Okay, perfect. Moving on.
Okay, next is our correspondence, so everyone can go home and look at their logos and mold them over and
Yep, you had 2 pieces of correspondence this month. The first is the memo from Oakland County Elections Board, which is the official elections results from the millage.
Love
Which,
those numbers.
That's going on my refrigerator.
it's a good place for it.
And I like the percentage, I like that they included the percentage, the turnout percentage, because Clarkston as a whole was better than many surrounding communities.
Yes.
And we had 28.96, when you look at a lot of those numbers seemed a little low. So I think that you had like the 15, you had a couple numbers pulling that down, because close to 30% of the vote, while
Yeah.
not good, is good for a primary election.
No, I mean, I think it should always be higher than that, but for a
Yes.
primary election, that's
No, it's,
not too bad.
yep. And then the other letter was from Barb Pallotta, the township clerk, thanking us for being a precinct location. It was a very nice letter. I thought you'd like to see that as well.
I
I do
think,
want to point out too that the township, the village of Clarkston had by far the highest percentage of turnout.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, the city manager told me that this was the first time that they've ever had 100% return on their absentee ballots, and she while she doesn't have anything to back it up necessarily, but she feels it's because of the library's millage being on the ballot that people were really concerned and made sure to turn their ballots in.
And to
So-
have 40% of their voters come out for a primary is very
Absolutely.
impressive.
Yep. Indeed. So, excellent. Any other comments? The supervisor had a nice article in the Clarkston News thanking all election workers, so this doesn't just materialize, and I think they deserve a round of applause for being as proficient and professional in their preparation.
And I also thought the article about the statue being delivered, sculpture, was really, really well done. And the fact that you mentioned the Friends and Betty and Ron and the
Garden
club,
Club,
and so
yeah.
many people that donate their time and money to the library. And I thought that was very important.
I think people don't realize kind of the magnitude of support that we do have. And I think there are a lot of people that don't realize that the Garden Club has been doing the library's gardens for decades. The library only
Right.
pays to mow the lawn and purchase one delivery of mulch a year, and the Garden Club buys the flowers, they plant the flowers, they tend the flowers.
It's so beautiful.
And
And it's
it's
beautiful.
really spectacular. Yep.
And that's why I think it's very important that the Garden Club be instrumental in the placement of the statue to the greatest effect. I mean, we have Mr. McGregor's garden, and we
And they're
have,
happy to do it.
and they're happy to do it. And I think that it's very important that they be
They be
really,
recognized for it.
Yes.
They've really come up with a clever idea. They've already kind of started to talk. They're going to spend some time. I think there's going to be a committee, but I've heard from various members of the Garden Club that there's already a lot of chitter chatter about how it's going to be done. And they're already working out what the flowers will look like around it, but they've come up with a really clever way. There were some people that were concerned that children might climb on the statue, and so there were suggestions that maybe we build a fence around it and a bunch of other kinds of things. And one of the landscapers that's been assisting the Garden Club has 5 children. He said, "You don't want it to look untouchable." He said, "Let's plant a row of boxwood in front of it and groom them in a beautiful way, and then people will understand you're not really supposed to get that close to it. But if somebody truly wanted to touch it, it's not inaccessible either." So it's a little bit of a visual barrier for we
I
people.
think there's a boxwood species that has like little hickory leaves.
Yeah. But I thought that was a clever suggestion, because when we were discussing the possibility of a fence.
To put it behind a barrier isn't sending the right message.
Yeah, he
but-
really thought that was not the direction to go, and.
But a low boxwood kind of
Yep.
but it's like
slows
every,
down, like you say, it slows down little people.
Yeah.
well, and it's like every project that any of us undertake. Before you can do this, you must do that and that.
Right.
So we have some issues with the hedges that are out here now.
Yeah.
So we're going to start to deal with those with the Garden Club.
And I've talked to Anita Andes. We've talked about the hedges on the other side, the ones that are behind the
McGregor's
picket fence in
garden.
McGregor's garden. And right now, the inclination is not to do anything with those, because they're not as out of control
As these.
and they don't know
They don't
really.
block a window.
They don't block a window. They don't block an
Fire
emergency
escape.
exit or anything like that. And because the fence is far enough from the building, I think there's kind of a people aren't really sure what to put there instead if we do take them out. So I think those will stay the same, but we'll take care of this issue over here in the springtime.
So that
We'll tackle one crisis at a time.
We're one step at a time. So it'll be spring before the statue actually finds its home.
Right, when they can lay that cement pad.
Right.
Yeah, and we found somebody to do that for a very reasonable price, and I know the Garden Club and the Friends are working together on that. So that's something else that will be funded in another way as well. So
Excellent. Thank you.
good.
Now I think we are ready to,
I would move for adjournment.
we have a movement and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is accepted. We are adjourned at 7:09. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.